11 tonight. Job chapter 11, as we continue in our study through this book. Going to try to cover several chapters tonight. We'll see how far we get. Of course, you always plan out things in your head and saying, oh, I think I get through these things, but several chapters I want to try to get through tonight. There's a lot of poetic language, a lot of verses saying about the same thing that we'll see tonight in some of these chapters, so maybe we'll go a little faster. I don't know if I want to tell you how far I want to get, because it might scare you that we'll be here all night, but we'll see how far we get. Chapter 11, we see Job has just answered back the last set of accusations against him. In chapter 11, we see Zophar is going to be the next friend that speaks. He is the one that speaks the least in the book of Job. We see him here, and I believe it's chapter 20 that he speaks again. But you'll notice that he's not as eloquent. He doesn't mince words or anything. He just says it straight what he's thinking about Job, and we'll see that very plainly. We'll read verse 1 through 6 of chapter 11 here of Job, and then we'll talk about these things. It says, Then answered Zophar the Naamathite, and said, Should not the multitude of words be answered? And should a man full of talk be justified? Should thy lies make men hold their peace? And when thou mockest, shall no man make thee ashamed? For thou hast said, My doctrine is pure, and I am clean in thine eyes. But oh, that God would speak and open his lips against thee, and that he would show thee the secrets of wisdom, and they are double to that which is. Know therefore what God exacteth of thee, less than thine iniquity deserveth. We see here that this opening portion of this speech that Zophar gives, he's just accusing Job left and right of being very untruthful, of being a very sinful person, in the eyes of what he thinks are the eyes of God. We see that verse 2, it says, Should not the multitude of words be answered? He says, Job, you've been talking a lot. Don't you want to give us a chance to answer you? It says, And should a man full of talk be justified? You're talking a lot, Job. Is there things to justify in what you're saying? We see in verse 3, Should thy lies make men hold their peace? He's now calling Job a liar. He says, there's no way that you're as good as you are saying you are. There must have been some sin in your life, and you are lying. And when thou mockest, shall no man make thee ashamed. He says, you're mocking us. And the way that Job answered them, it was a little bit mocking them sometimes. That's not an untruth, but we do see that. It says, no man make thee ashamed. He says, somebody needs to put you in your place, Job, for what you're saying. Verse 4, he says, For thou hast said, My doctrine is pure, and I am clean in thine eyes. Nowhere has Job said that his doctrine is pure and clean. He says that he is not guilty of some egregious sin, where he says he doesn't deserve the punishment that he's getting, but never did say that he is pure and clean. He's never said that he's sinless. And Zophar is saying that Job is claiming to be a sinless person. He says, But oh, that God would speak and open his lips against thee. He says, I wish that God would just open his mouth and tell us exactly what you need to do and put you in your place. He says, and that he would show thee the secrets of wisdom, and they are double to that which is. He says, if God just opens his mouth, he will show you things that you couldn't even comprehend. At the end of this chapter, we'll see God does open his lips and does show Job a lot of things that we can't even imagine. There's so much revealed to us about God and creation and all the different hail and snowflakes, all these different things about heaven that we wouldn't know without these conversations from God. God does reveal a lot. But we do see the last part of this verse 6. It says, Know therefore that God exacteth of thee less than thine iniquity deserveth. It says, Job, everything that you've faced, all the sorrow that you've gone through, it is less than what you deserve for all your sin. Now, in one sense, yes, that's true. We deserve hell, we deserve banishment forever. But that's not how God works. God, it was just. God is not punishing Job. He says, Job, you have been punished by God. You deserve more. And that's why you're allowed to suffer all these things. You deserve so much more, Job. He says, you're a liar. You're claiming things that are untrue. And God hasn't given you what you deserve yet. Can you imagine your friends who are coming to comfort you, talking to you like that? I mean, even if Job was a sinful person, maybe these aren't the best words to say. Sometimes you got to save with fear, pulling them out of the fire. I understand that, but I think there's better ways that you could go about it than this. Verse 7, we see that the conversation turns now to looking at God, and maybe we could call it the study of God, the theology, right? So this is Zophar's theology and pointing towards things. We'll look at some of these things in a few moments here. But we see that everything that he's about to say isn't necessarily untrue. He's going to talk about things about God that are very true. But how he's applying it is the wrong way to apply these things. Verse 7, canst thou by searching find out God? Canst thou find out the Almighty unto perfection? We can't search and find out the end of God. We can't find out the things about God. That is a true statement. Verse 8, it is as high as heaven. What canst thou do? Deeper than hell. What canst thou know? The measure thereof is longer than the earth and broader than the sea. We see you can't understand how big God is. That's what he's saying. I would agree with that statement. Verse 10, if he cut off and shut up or gather together, then who can hinder him? We can't stop God from doing what he wants to do. We see in this that he's touching on the aspects of God, how big he is, how powerful he is. Verse 11, for he knoweth vain men, he seeth wickedness also. Will he not then consider it? For vain man would be wise, though man be born like a wild ass's colt. We look at this statement here and we see that the knowledge of God, he knows everything. He knows vain men. He seeth their wickedness. Nothing goes past God. And God does consider it. God sees the wickedness. He considers it. And he says, for vain men would be wise, though man be born like a wild ass colt. Kind of confusing language there. It's basically calling Job stupid. He says, even a vain person wouldn't be considered wise, or the vain person will be wise when as we look at this verse, it says, be born like a wild ass's colt. If a wild ass's colt comes out and looks like a man, or vice versa, that's when a vain man will be wise. It's not going to happen. Those things don't happen. And so he's saying that that's impossible. Verse 12, for vain man would be wise, though man be born like a wild ass's colt, if thou prepare thine heart and stretch out thine hands toward him. If iniquity be in thy hand, put it far away, and let not wickedness dwell in thy tabernacles. He's calling on Job to do some things. He says, stretch out your hand to God. Reach out to God. Ask him for mercy. And if you have iniquity in your hand, put it far from you. Don't let wickedness dwell in your tabernacle. That's great advice. Hey, reach out for God. Don't let sin reign in your body, which is the tabernacle of God. For, verse 15, for then shalt thou lift up thy face without spot. Yea, thou shalt be steadfast and shalt not fear, because thou shalt forget thy misery and remember it as waters that pass away. And thine age shall be clearer than the noonday. Thou shalt shine forth, thou shalt be as the morning, and thou shalt be secure because there is hope. Yea, thou shalt dig about thee, and thou shalt take thy rest in safety. Also thou shalt lie down, and none shall make thee afraid. Yea, many shall make suit unto thee. But the eyes of the wicked shall fail, and they shall not escape, and their hope shall be as the giving up of the ghost. We see here Zophar is telling Job, if you just confess your sin, if you get right, you put that iniquity far from you, you reach out to God, then everything is going to be good in your life. Everything's going to be, your youth is going to be back, the face of your is going to be clear, and we see you're going to shine forth, you're going to be as the morning, everything's going to be secure, you're going to have hope again. Well, that sounds nice, but just because we're right with God doesn't mean every little thing in our life is going to go well. It's touching on, we might call it the prosperity gospel today. Well, you just do good things for God and everything's going to be fine in your life. That's not how God is. We see from this book that's not what's going on in Job's life. He isn't having all these problems because of sin. These aren't effects of anything. He doesn't need to confess to God at this point and get right, and God will cleanse and take all these problems away. This is simply a test that God is allowing Job to go through. This sounds good. He puts God in there. He puts in some theology that is true and accurate, and then he adds stuff to it. We see the contrary there in verse 20, but the eyes of the wicked shall fail, and they shall not escape, and their hope shall be as the giving up the ghost. Says Job, if your hope is as the giving up the ghost, that's what Job was feeling. Says, I just want to die. Says, then obviously you must be wicked. You're either going to be right with God and have happiness, or you're going to be wicked and be miserable. That's the only two choices. That's not how God works. There's some very hurting people that are some of the godliest people that you know, and vice versa. Some of the most wicked sinners are some of the happiest people you know, because they're satisfied with the wrong things. We see that Zophar, his words are very harsh to Job. They're very absolute and not putting any case in there for understanding that God might work a little bit differently than he thinks. We have to be careful of people that say things so matter-of-factly about things going on in your life. Say, well, that's because you did this, that's because you did this. It might be true. I'm not saying that they're always wrong, or people who make claims like that have to be absolutely wrong, but we do need to be careful. Is this something that is coming from godly wisdom, or is this something with some little theology sprinkled in with some bad philosophies in there as well? We have to be careful on those things. Zophar, again, he doesn't speak much, but when he speaks, it's loud and clear, his thoughts. Chapter 12 is Job's response. It says, and Job answered and said, no doubt, but ye are the people, and wisdom shall die with you. Job is full of sarcasm. He says, no doubt, you are the people, and all wisdom's going to die with you because you're the smartest people there is, and when you die, there's going to be no wisdom left. That's what he's saying. Verse 3, but I have understanding as well as you. Hey, don't you know I'm smart? If you remember back in the beginning of Job, we saw how they said that everybody would come to him for wisdom. He was a very wise person. He was known for his wisdom. He would help people with the wisdom that he had. It says, but I have understanding as well as you. I am not inferior to you. Yea, who knoweth not such things as these? I am as one mocked of his neighbor, who calleth upon God, and he answereth him. The just upright man is laughed to scorn. He that is ready to slip with his feet is as a lamp despised in the thought of him that is at ease. We looked at this, friends. He said, I'm one that's being mocked. The just person, the blameless person is being ridiculed. We see the ones that are ready to slip, the idea of somebody trying to find problems with him. It's like a lamp despised in the thought of him that is at ease. When you're at rest, when you're trying to sleep and somebody shines a bright light, it's not something that you want. It says these things are things that are not helpful. We look in verse 6. It says, the tabernacles of robbers prosper, and they that provoke God are secure, and to whose hand God bringeth abundantly. He's looking at saying, I have all these problems, but there's the robbers, the people who are doing sinful things. They're being blessed. Their tabernacles, their tents, they're full with all their treasures that they've robbed. God seems to be blessing them abundantly. Verse 7, but now, ask now the beast, and they shall teach thee, and the fowls of the air, and they shall teach thee. Or speak to the earth, and it shall teach thee, and the fishes of the sea shall declare unto thee. Who knoweth not in all these that the hand of the Lord hath wrought this? We see that these friends are claiming to know a lot of things. And they're talking about theology of God and how big and sinless he is and how man sins and all these different things. You ask anybody, you can even go to the fowls of the air, and they know that God is the creator. God knows, or they know these things. Who knows such things as these? Everybody knows those. Even the earth knows these things. It says, you bringing these things isn't helping. You bringing forth these facts about God isn't anything that we don't already know. So you're not being very helpful. We see in verse 9, who knoweth not in all these that the hand of the Lord hath wrought this, and whose hand is the soul of every living thing, and the breath of all mankind. Doth not the ear try words, and the mouth taste his meat? With the ancient is wisdom, and in length of days understanding. With him is wisdom and strength. He hath counsel and understanding. Behold, he breaketh down, and it cannot be built again. He shutteth up a man, and there can be no opening. This is talking about God's working. When God breaks down something, it can't be built up again. When he shuts up a man, there can be no opening on these things. We see God's majesty is being described here, his power, his authority. We see his power over man. Next verse we see, verse 15, behold, he withholdeth the waters, and they dry up. Also he sendeth them out, and they overturneth the earth. With him is strength and wisdom. The deceived and the deceiver are his. We see that God shows his power over man's minds. The deceived and the deceiver are his. Verse 17, he leadeth counselors away spoiled, and maketh the judges fools. He looseth the bonds of kings, and girdeth their loins with the girdle. He leadeth princes away spoiled, and overthroweth the mighty. We look at the power over man there, the power over minds. We see his power over the wise, the counselors, and the judges there. We see the power over the rulers. We looked at the kings and the princes. We see in verse 20, he removeth away the speech of the trusty, and taketh away the understanding of the age. We see the power over those that are eloquent. Then we see his power over darkness as well. In just a moment, verse 21 first, he poureth contempt upon princes, and weakeneth the strength of the mighty. He discovereth deep things out of the darkness, and bringeth out to light the shadow of death. He increaseth the nations, and destroyeth them. He enlargeth the nations, and straighteneth them again. We see his power over nations as well. Verse 24, he taketh away the heart of the chief of the people of the earth, and causeth them to wander in the wilderness where there is no way. They grope in the dark without light, and he maketh them to stagger like a drunken man. We see God's power over all thing Job is describing. He says, you're telling me all these things. I already know this stuff. You don't need to tell me. I have wisdom too. He says, these are the things we know about God. And he goes on to talk about all these attributes that God has. And he continues in chapter 13, verse 1. He goes in and gives a rebuke to his friends. Verse 1, it says, Lo, mine eye hath seen all this. Mine ear hath heard and understood it. What ye know, the same do I know also. I am not inferior unto you. Surely I would speak to the Almighty, and I desire to reason with God. But ye are forgers of lies. Ye are all physicians of no value. The one says, only if God would come down and talk to you. That's what Zophar said. He says, hey, I would appreciate that. But you are forgers of lies. You are physicians with no value. You ever gone to a doctor and not gotten any answers? A physician of no value. Well, that's no good. You're my friends. You're supposed to come here to comfort me and help me, but you're not doing anything. Verse 5, oh, that you would altogether hold your peace, and it should be your wisdom. If you just shut your mouth, you'll be more wise. Verse 6, hear now my reasoning, and hearken to the pleadings of my lips. Will you speak wickedly for God and talk deceitfully for him? It says, what you're doing, you're thinking that you're talking spiritual things, but you're speaking wickedness on God's behalf. Would you do that? Would you talk deceitfully for him? Verse 8, will he accept his person? Will he contend for God? Is it good that you should search you out, or that he should search you out? Or as one man mocketh another, do ye so mock him? Or is it okay for God to search you out? You're trying to do that with me. And is it good for you to mock God in this way? Verse 10, he will surely reprove you if you do secretly accept persons. Hey, you're people who are talking down to me, and you're okay with each other. You're accepting because you're friends, and we're more accepting to people that we like and that we're friends with sometimes. God is not a respecter of persons. It says God's going to reprove you if you accept persons. How many churches have been ruined because a pastor has been a friend with somebody and doesn't want to rebuke them for their sin and allows that thing to go on? It's a very grave warning. We can't accept persons. And no one's rebuking the other three friends speaking. Say, oh yeah, you're right. Just continue saying that. Job's wrong in this, even though when they're saying things falsely. Verse 11, shall not his excellency make you afraid, and his dread fall upon you? Do you even realize who you're talking about? The God of this earth, God of creation, his excellency should make you afraid. His dread fall upon you. That would be a horrible place to be in. It's a fearful thing to be in the hands of an angry God. And we see that Job is giving those sentiments out. Verse 12, your rememberings are like unto ashes, and your bodies to bodies of clay. They're no good. These things that you're saying, the words that you're giving me, the rememberings, they're like ashes. Job was sitting in a heap of ashes. He didn't need any more. He was, your defenses, you see, your bodies are the bodies of clay. He says they're no good to me. Verse 13, he finally says, hold your peace. Let me alone, that I may speak, and let come on me what will. He says, hey, you're trying to help me, just hold your peace and let me speak. He then talks about God. He says, wherefore do I take my flesh in my teeth and put my life into my hand? Though he slay me, yet will I trust in him. That reflects back to the first couple chapters. The Lord giveth, the Lord taketh away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. Though he slay me, yet will I trust in him. That's a great confidence in God. He doesn't know why everything's going on. Past few chapters when Job talks, he's been talking, Lord, why are you allowing me to live? Why did you bless the day I was born? And I don't understand all these things. It would better be off we're dead. But now he's coming to a sense. He says, though he slay me, yet I will trust in him. But I will maintain mine own ways before him. Job says, I'm righteous. I'm doing what is good, and I'm going to keep on doing what I've been doing before him. Verse 16, he also shall be my salvation, for a hypocrite shall not come before him. His salvation, the accusations from his friends around him. He says, you're not going to be able to stand before him. But I have done nothing wrong. He's going to be my salvation. Verse 17, hear diligently my speech and my declaration with your ears. I plead unto his friends to stop talking, to listen to him. Verse 18, behold now I have ordered my cause. I know that I shall be justified. Who is he that will plead with me? For now, if I hold my tongue, I shall give up the ghost. If I just hold my tongue, if I don't say anything, I know I'm going to die because you're accusing me of so much, and that's not true. Verse 20, he now changes his conversation to his friends, and he's talking to God now. He says, "Only do not two things unto me, then will I not hide myself from thee." He says, "Don't do these things to me. If you don't do these things to me, then I will not hide myself from thee." Verse 21, "Withdraw thine hand far from me, and let not thy dread make me afraid." We see in one sense, don't go away from me. Withdraw not thy hand from me. And the other sense is, it can be read both ways. And we see that his hand of affliction he wants off of him has been interpreted both ways. We see as we look at that, "Withdraw thine hand far from me, and let not thy dread make me afraid." Don't let your dread, don't let me be so afraid of all these problems I'm going through, all the things I'm seeing. Don't let that make me distance myself from you. "Then call thou, and I will answer, or let me speak, and answer thou me." He says, "Lord, would you just tell me, physically, literally tell me what's going on here, or answer my questions that I have for you." His question, verse 23, "How many are my iniquities and sins? Make me to know my transgression and my sin." Lord, if there's anything I've done that's making you unhappy with me, that's causing all these things, show me what it is. That's a good prayer to pray. We might not be guilty of anything, but if we are, sometimes it's a sin that we're not aware of, that God is not pleased with. We looked on Sunday, the famine that David and Israel was going through. David had to pray, "Lord, what's going on?" And God showed him the answer to that prayer. It's because of Saul and those things that he did. Sometimes it's a good thing to ask God, "Lord, is there a reason for these things going on in my life?" A lot of the times, we're going to know the answer already before we pray a prayer like that. Sometimes it's nothing that we've done is causing it. It's just God testing us, trying us, growing us. Verse 24, "Wherefore hidest thou thy face, and holdest me for thine enemy? Wilt thou break a leaf driven to and fro, and wilt thou pursue the dry stubble?" He says, "I'm a nobody. I'm like just a leaf floating out. And why are you driving after me? I'm dry stubble. I'm nothing. Will you pursue dry stubble? For thou writest bitter things against me, and makest me to possess the iniquities of my youth." He feels like maybe he did something in his youth a long time ago that now he's having to answer for. "Thou puttest my feet also in the stocks, and lookest narrowly unto all my paths. Thou settest a print upon the heels of my feet." We look at, it just feels like he's been trapped here. The print upon his feet, just a limit for him. He can't go any too far. We see verse 28, "And he, as a rotten thing, consumeth, and as a garment that is moth-eaten." We see that he's just feeling like he's decaying away. We now go to chapter 14. I did have time to get through everything I wanted to tonight, so that's good. I wanted to get to the end of chapter 14. We're not there yet, but it's kind of short, so hopefully we'll get there. Verse 1 of chapter 14 says, "Man that is born of a woman is a few days and full of trouble." We see that it's a true statement. We see, "He cometh forth like a flower and is cut down. He fleeth also as a shadow and continueth not." We see just the quickness of life. Just a few days, like a flower that comes up for a little bit and it's cut down, like a shadow that's just there and that flees away. Man is a few days and full of trouble. Verse 3, "And dost thou open thine eyes upon such an one, and bringest me into judgment with thee? Who can bring a clean thing out of an unclean? Not one. Seeing his days are determined, the number of his months are with thee. Thou hast appointed his bounds, that he cannot pass. Turn from him, that he may rest, till he shall accomplish as a hireling his day." We see the idea of the frailty of man, and just Job praying, "Lord, have mercy. Man is so frail. I'm so frail The days are numbered. We only have a few months. Turn from him that he can rest. Job is praying for rest once again. Verse 7, we see it says, sorry, I lost my place. For there is hope of a tree, if it be cut down, that it will sprout again, and that the tender branch thereof will not cease. Though the root thereof wax old in the earth, and the stock thereof die on the ground, yet through the scent of water it will bud and bring forth boughs like a plant. See the idea of a tree being chopped down? Everything dies, what was there, but if there's still water, the scent of water is the hint. It can bud again and bring forth another tree. You probably have seen that someplace where an old tree has fallen, new life has sprung up in its place. We see those ideas, maybe those same roots are bringing forth. There's still yet life in it. Verse 10, but man dieth and wasteth away. Yea, man giveth up the ghost, and where is he? As the waters fail from the sea, and the flood decayeth and drieth up, so man lieth down and riseth not, till the heavens be no more, and they shall not awake, nor be raised out of their sleep. We see Job's view on what happens when you die. They don't have the hope of heaven and the light of Jesus at this time. We have more theology, more understanding of what happens after we die. To be absent from the body is to be present from the Lord. But Job, he says, when a man dies, where does he go? He's not like that tree who's going to come back again. They're just going to die. They're going to be on the ground. They're going to be non-existent anymore on this earth. And to a sense, that is true. And we understand where he was going with that. Verse 13, O that thou wouldest hide me in the grave, that thou wouldest keep me secret until thy wrath be past, that thou wouldest appoint me a set time and remember me. He says he's looking just to escape all these things that are going on. Job, he didn't know much about the condition of man after death. But we see that he kind of hoped in this verse that there is going to be a point in time that he could be remembered by God and be in the presence of God. Verse 14, if a man dies, shall he live again? No, not physically on this earth. All the days of my appointed time will I wait till my change come. Thou shalt call, and I will answer thee. Thou wilt have a desire to the work of thine hands. For now thou numberest my steps. Dost thou not watch over my sin? My transgression is sealed up in a bag, and thou sewest up mine iniquity. And surely the mountain falling cometh to naught, and the rock is removed out of his place. The waters wear the stones. Thou washest away the things which grow out of the dust of the earth, and thou destroyest the hope of man. Thou prevailest forever against him, and he passeth. Thou changest his countenance, and sendest him away. His sons come to honor, and he knoweth it not, and they are brought low, but he perceived it not of them. But his flesh upon him shall have pain, and his soul within him shall mourn. We see him contemplating life and the afterlife and things and beyond the grave. We see him looking at this death and what happens. We see that he's looking at God and all the power that he has and all the mountains falling and the waters wearing away stones and all these things that God possesses. And at this point, he's just looking and he's kind of despairing. We see verse 22, but his flesh upon him shall have pain, and his soul within him shall mourn. We look at the idea of just looking at himself and the pain that he's in, and he's wondering, God, you have all this power. Why are you afflicting me so much? Once I die, I am gone. You know how many steps I have. You know the number of my days. Why are you allowing this to happen? We see that question, Lord, would you just speak to me, show me, or answer the questions that I have for you? He's hoping for an answer. He starts out rebuking Zophar and the other friends for accusations, for being so high-minded of themselves, for so many different things. He kind of tries to put them in their place. says, I know as much as you do on these matters. The things that we know about God, everybody knows about it. It's nothing new that you're bringing to me. And I know these things too, but I also know I'm going through this pain, and I know I am guiltless of egregious sin. And we see just the despair that he's in at this time. Chapter 15, we'll see Eliphaz answer, then Job again, then Bildad, then Job, and then we'll go on for some time until a fourth person comes on the scene, and then God speaks. A fifth person, the three friends, Job, fifth person, and then God speaks. So we're not quite halfway through, not for a while probably. It's a long study, but we do see all these truths coming out, and also the warning of people who sound religious don't always know what they're talking about, and we have to be careful about those things. We'll close here with a word of prayer. Our Heavenly Father, we do thank you for this day. We thank you for your word, and Lord, as we look at these things, we try to study them out. I pray that you'll give us understanding. I pray that you'll help us to see the warnings of it. I pray that you'll help us when we find ourselves in a place of despair, but not to get so downhearted, but to see the goodness of you in our lives. Pray that you'll help us to take hope in that power that you have and the promises that we have through Jesus Christ and the promises of the New Testament. Lord, I thank you for these things being recorded so we can learn and help us to apply them as you see fit. I pray these things in Jesus' name. Amen.